wondering if you've ever been on like a week-long hike or something where carrying water-loaded fruit becomes a serious task, and if you've come to any reasonable conclusions as to how to make that relatively effective.
I haven't done that. I've done some camping since I've been raw quite a bit, but not where I'm hiking for a week. More like car camping. And on a week-long hike, I mean, what I would probably do would be to carry as little else as I needed and carry as much weight and food as I'm willing to, as I'm able to. I mean, I once hiked back when I was in college, eating everything, I once hiked a 14-pound turkey into a campsite, and we roasted a turkey over a spit all day for one of our meals. But now I would carry as much fruit as I was willing to. I would get as clear as possible about where I was going to be. I would study what would be available then to forage. Like in the fall, in the mid-Atlantic states in the U.S., you can get persimmons, wild persimmons, and all kinds of berries, apples, if there are apples in those places. I'd look and see what was available in those places to forage, as well as wild greens, and I'd eat whatever I could that way. And I would probably plan on eating much less than I normally do. And this is one of the advantages, by the way, of being very efficient. So I would need much less food than most people do. I've gone a couple days without eating and been perfectly fine being physically active. It doesn't affect me like it does many people. So it's really not that hard for me. I mean, a week might be challenging. I've never tried that.
So you wouldn't go dehydrated?
I wouldn't go with dehydrated food. Maybe what I would do is I would pack in some dehydrated food too, and I would eat all the fresh stuff first, and I'd forage for as much as I could, and I would avoid eating any more dehydrated food than absolutely necessary.
But just have it just in case.
Have it in case you need it. Be ready to make sure that you've got a way to purify water, right? Water purification tablets or boiling water, so that you can take plenty of water in to help make up for, because that dehydrated food is going to suck the water out of your body.
Well, yeah, I pre-soak that kind of stuff usually. I mean, if it's been dehydrated, just...
Sure, and that seems like it helps, but it actually doesn't.
Not as good, yeah.
It doesn't really help much at all. Let's take a look at why that is, if you like, since we're talking about this. A raisin is between 20 and 25% water. A grape is around 86% water. There's a vast difference between those two things. The water in the grape is perfect water. Okay, it's structured water, it's ionic water, it's bonded to electrolytes, and it's perfect. And when we lose that water to dehydration, to form that grape, we don't get it back by soaking it in normal water. And if you take that grape, that raisin, and you soak it, let's say, it's going to expand, it's going to fill up, it's going to look like a fat little bloated wet grape, wet raisin, but it's still not going to be anywhere near 90% water, and the water is not cellular water. It's not really part of the grape. It's kind of like a sea sponge is a living thing, okay? And when it's alive in the ocean, it's mostly water like most other living creatures. When you dry it out, you have a sponge. That's where sponges come from. The original sponges come from the sea. They dry out and they're spongy. When they're dry, they're hard and dry. You soak it in water and it's wet again, but it's not cellular water. It's not the same water that was in the sponge. And if you were to eat the sponge, you wouldn't be getting the sponge's water, you'd be getting the water from outside, which your body interacts with very differently. So you would need more water in your system, and you would have to take it in from outside, but you can't fix the dehydrated food by soaking it.
Well, yeah, I didn't think you could. I just thought I don't know, I felt like it made it a bit more digestible because it's not like you're chewing dried food, you're at least, you're pre-expanding it so that it's not like, it doesn't have to do that in your stomach. It's not.
Yeah. I mean, there may be some advantage, but I don't think there's a significant advantage in terms of hydration. You're still going to have to take a bunch of water in on top of the food, and maybe, by soaking it, you've attached some of that water you need to the food. Maybe makes it a little bit easier, a little bit more convenient, but you're still going to have to take a bunch of extra water in order to get that food through your system. That might be a reasonable backup plan if that's all you have available to you. You know, there may be hard to do anything else.
What about sprouting, if you have to? That's the only way you can get fresh food. Over your unextended hikes or on a little atoll in the middle of nowhere, which...
Yeah, I suppose you could sprout food. The problem is, though, you'd have to start sprouting it right away. I mean, if you're hiking every day, you'd be carrying sprouting jars around with you and stuff. It would be maybe a little bit.
A net bag.
This is a problem for me too.
Like if you let it hang from the backpack in a mesh bag, like
yeah, you could.
Bag, you can get a decent amount of food there, but
it wouldn't get totally dried out by the sun, maybe.
You could keep wetting it, but it would. I think you'd have a really hard time getting the significant amount of calories that way, getting your needs met that way. I think for the benefits you get for the trouble it would take, I don't think I would bother. It'd be different if you were going someplace and let's say you're hiking in a long way and don't want to carry a bunch of food, but you're going to be in a certain place for a while. Then it would be easier. Then you could get there and sprout a bunch of stuff. You could sprout a whole bunch of stuff.
Which might be what I'm doing in January. Like staying on a remote, tiny little island where there's nothing, no vegetation you can eat. That for a month. So you take food in
I don't know, I think sprouting's probably better than dehydrating.
Yeah, oh, definitely. No question. I think it would be too. You'd still have, a month's worth of sprouted seeds are still heavy.
Yeah.
That's a lot of seeds to hike in. I think I'd go someplace where you could get food. That's what I would do. I don't know if I'd go someplace where I didn't think I'd be able to get any food for a month. I think I'd pick a place where I could. Or, maybe arrange to have somebody bring it into you every week. I don't know. It depends, I guess, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish. If you just want to be in that place, that's what I would do. If you want to be self-sufficient for a month, then I think I'd probably pick a place where it looked like there would be more likelihood of getting some food locally. Go spend a month in Croatia in July and August where you can eat tons of figs everywhere. They're everywhere. Go live on the fig trees for a month.
I did that last year.
But I don't think I would try this in Death Valley where there's nothing growing.
Well, this is a regular thing on the Barrier Reef every January, so I've done it before.